Good morning, everyone. I am just getting set up here. We are using a different method to go live this morning, so I'm just going to invite Kate to join me on this screen. So as soon as Kate is watching, I will bring her on and we will get started with skits and scones. I'm really super pumped. Kate, when you are here, say hi and I can, oh, there you are, you're requesting and approve and yes and adding. And do we have Kate? Hi, Tony. Do we have Kate? It says adding at the top. It says adding. Hi, Talita. Oh, yes.
Okay, it worked.
This is
Oddly,
good.
it asked me to rotate my phone, so that's what took me a minute or two there. You can hear me okay?
I can. This is great.
Okay, good.
Kate and I are using a new feature this morning. We can go live on Facebook now and invite someone to join us on screen. So that's what we're doing. And said, hi, Kate.
Hello, good morning. I'm sorry I've got wet hair, and I may still have the post-shower sweats going here. It was a hectic morning, as you already posted on Facebook. I woke up to a power outage in our house, and I'm sure many of you have been through this before. We all have. It's not uncommon, and for most families, it's probably not that big a deal. For an autism family, it's a very big deal because I don't know about your kids, Carrie, but mine don't understand why the TV won't turn on. And actually, as many of you know, I have two kids, and my older one, she gets it. I can explain to her what a power outage is, and she seems to get it. It doesn't stop her from asking every 30 seconds, when's the TV going to be back on? Why is it not working still? Why are they not fixing it? But I can deal with that. It's my son who would have been a larger problem. So anyway, it all worked out fine. It was scary times at first because Hydro Ottawa said that it wasn't going to be back on until 1 o'clock in the afternoon, and I was like, oh my God,
that would be trouble.
Well, my first thought was, skits and scones. Oh my God, what are we going to do about the skits and scones? But then it was, how am I going to make Desi his smoothie? Because he will lose it if he doesn't get that smoothie.
Routine
anyway,
is
it came
important.
back on. It's all fine. It's all fine. It just, I almost had a small heart attack. That's all.
That's all. Crisis averted. This is good, Kate. So we're a little late, but on time, but late. So like us on time, late on time, I'll still take it. So hi, everyone. My name's Carrie Monahan. This is Kate Logue. We are in Ottawa. Once upon a time, we used to do these little lives on our local Facebook page until we were arm twisted into sharing it with you guys. So Kate and I are going to rant it off, I think, and just talk about what's going on in a little something we call skits and... Are you ready, Kate? Are you ready?
Scones. Yep, sure. Scones. Yes.
Scones. So
that was the other thing. It's been so long since we have done this that I had to make an emergency scone drop yesterday, didn't I?
Yes, Kate left some scones on my porch yesterday. We pick up or Kate picks them up for me. She's so lovely. I need to send you $1 million for scone money from Cobb's Bakery. So I have a Cobb's up the road, and Kate brings them to me. And yeah, we oh, it's okay, Kate. It's okay.
I'm just trying.
Ooh, it's all good.
I literally I think our sound is a little bit delayed because I'm talking at the same time as you, but so we'll get our rhythm here.
Okay.
In a minute. Yeah. No, I'm doing it to you and you're doing it to me. We're both doing it. It's all good.
Okay. Well, I'm not picking up much lag in maybe a second on my end. So anyway, bear with us while we figure this stuff out and get our groove here. So anyway, skits and scones. We're a little late, but here we are. Crisis averted for Kate. She's a champ. She's here, despite power outages and upset routines.
Yeah.
Um, anyway, so yeah, we had a lot of stuff going on this week. Like, you guys have seen my mug an awful lot on the main page lately. I've been talking a lot about ways to get involved, and it's important to get involved right now. And that's because we are headed into an election. So Kate, actually, if you don't mind, I'm just going to let everyone know that Kate is part of a sort of, should we call it a division? It sounds really fancy if we call it a division of the OAC called the PAC. So the PAC is the Political Action Committee, and Kate sits on that team with Bruce and with Tony and with Sean Staden, and they're up to all kinds of good things. Like, Kate, do you want to like just talk a little bit about the PAC and let everyone know what the PAC is?
Yeah. So division, I like that. That does sound fancy, actually, division. um, or committee works, political action committee. But we started it last year. I mean, I think, the OAC has grown a lot, hasn't it, in the last year or two? And really organized itself. And so last year they started the Political Action Committee, and there's a number of us that sit on it, and we try and organize events and strategize exactly how we're going to make change with the government, with their policy. Right now, obviously, is an election. So as we keep saying, and you know this, Carrie, because you've had meetings with the ministry and you sit on the OAP working group. The OAC has worked really hard to try and work with this government and try and get them to speed up, to change certain policies, but mainly to speed up, because like with over 500,000 kids on the wait list, this is ridiculous, right? And we've been at this for, well, over 3 years. This government has been in power for almost 4. But we've been seriously advocating since February, what is it, 7th? February 7th, 2019?
Yeah,
So, something like that. How many meetings, how many consultations, how many emails, how often do you send off an email to somebody, Carrie, every week? There's been a lot that goes on behind the scenes, and it just doesn't seem to be making any difference with this government or with this ministry to get things moving. So we're kind of left with, our best hope as a community if we want to see the OAP move in a better direction, pick up speed, actually support our children in any kind of timely and meaningful way. Our best bet at this point is to hope that this government does not get reelected on June 2nd. So I would have to say that the Political Action Committee, that is our main focus right now, is getting the message out there that our kids are not being supported. And it's funny. I spoke with a reporter yesterday, and I was sort of explaining things. He wasn't completely aware of everything that was happening, and I was explaining things to him, and he kind of cut me off really quickly and said, "Oh, so do you want to make this an election issue?" and I kind of laughed, and I'm like, "Well, don't you think it should be?" I mean, when you're talking about 50,000 children that are not being supported, this is not just an issue for our children. This is what I try and tell people, and I hope that other people do too, right? Like, if you don't have a child with autism, you may be pretty unaffected by what's happening with the OAP, but I bet you your children have children in their school, maybe in their own classroom, who have been affected. These children are in schools. We all know what's happening with the state of education. Our kids are not being supported in school. And it's all part of, the larger picture, right? Yes, kids need more EAs, more programming, more support in schools. But also, if they were better served and supported with the OAP and received the therapy that they needed, they would probably require less help in school. And gain skills for self-regulation, self-help, better socialization, communication, all those things, right? So this really should be a problem for everyone. And at the end of the day, if they're going to do this to children with autism, who are they going to do it to next, right? So yes, short story, yes, this should absolutely be an election issue. And that's what the Political Action Committee is trying to do.
Absolutely not. And again, like it was the Political Action Committee that sort of launched, or was like the brain trust that created the 50K is not okay sort of campaign slogan. So this is the hashtag that we're using most regularly. 50K representing the 50,000 children who are waiting for core services through the OAP. So core services being the clinical services that are supervised or delivered by a clinician, a professional that is individualized to your child's needs to help them attain the goals and learn and develop and grow to, the best they possibly can. And in any case, I want to mention though, and I think it's really important to mention, like right now we're slamming forward. Like, I mean, we launched like way back in 2019 when Lisa MacLeod destroyed the needs-based program that did exist, that my son is in, that Kate's children are in, and the one that we're trying to protect here. We launched Autism Doesn't End at Ford, which was a play on words off of Autism Doesn't End at 5, which was when the Liberal government was trying to take apart supports that were available to our kids. And what I'm trying to underscore here is that the OAC is a nonpartisan group. We are nonpartisan. We are not for profit. We are an advocacy group that advocates for clinical government-funded services for autistics to support them across their lifetime. So right now we're hearing a lot of boo Ford, we want Ford out of here. We want to be really, really clear. We will go after whoever is in power who is messing with our kids. So right now that is Ford. So our direction and our focus right now is getting Ford out of office because they really, really pooped the bed on this one. What we need to put into perspective here is that over the course of 4 years, nearly now, only 645 children have been brought into a therapy program that doesn't discriminate. And I really ever since this 𝐒𝐿𝐊𝐈𝐓𝐒 thing happened, and everyone has likely heard on this page about the agency that was adopting, or the dog adoption agency that was barring access to families with autistic children. And we were talking about discrimination, and I think it was like at that time we saw so much fire within the community, and we said to ourselves that we really need to draw a link here between the outrage that we were feeling about this and what Ford is doing to our children. What we would really want people to understand here, like us at the OAC here, is that this government may be shelling out funding in terms of IOTF funding. This funding does not look at your child as a child that requires support, a child that requires individualized need, or a child that requires continuous supportive therapies, supports, funding, whatever, like a framework to support your child. They are shelling out money without any kind of consideration for what your child's needs are and hoping that you will stay quiet about it. There was no clinical program. They destroyed the OAP. We had a needs-based program. It needed tweaking. It had issues. Not enough children were being served. We agree with that. But that old program could have been.
It was underfunded for sure.
It was underfunded. And when a government, this government committed to doubling the funding. What that could have done to the old program could have been amazing. And now here we are, 4 years later, only 650 children have entered this new program that basically, like, the premise is that you have someone sit and assess and address and consider your child's needs versus just, here you go, here you go, here you go. You're cool with that, right? And the underlying message there is that our children don't need the attention, that their needs are based on their age, that parents don't need to be consulted, that clinicians don't need to be consulted. And that's maddening to me. That's like, our kids deserve to at least be acknowledged, and their needs need to be acknowledged before shelling out funding. So again, like we've seen the launch, the soft launch, a very soft launch of clinical core services via a test phase, and only 645 children have been funded through into this program. This is what we're waiting for, right, Kate? Is the launch. Where is the launch? This is not acceptable.
Yeah, no, exactly. And what's really frustrating is the election, as we all know, is June 2nd. So we're under 2 months away from that. And basically, they claim that they're starting everything finally now, and we should be happy because by the end of this year, basically they said the end of fall, they'll have 8,000 kids in. Well, they really haven't proven or done anything in the last 3 years that would make us believe or trust that they will actually pull off putting 8,000 in by the fall. So are we supposed to, 2 months before an election, go, oh, they say they're going to do it? Well, they've said a lot of things, haven't they, Carrie? They haven't met any of their own timelines that they've given all the way through. It was last February they said they were going to put 600 in. It took them, where you said 645? They were still putting them, those last batch of them in January, right? Right. So now, granted, they claim that they have the IIO, the internal intake organization. Is that what it is?
Independent intake organization.
Independent. Yeah. So that apparently is going to be up and running, and apparently that should make things move faster. But we already have problems with the way they're organizing this program to begin with, right? There's still basically age caps. So your funding is dependent on age. We have problems with their determination of needs assessment. These are not being done by professionals. So there's a lot of problems already, although I think most of the community would kind of be okay with some of those things as long as things just kind of got going. How many families, what really, Carrie and I are in a chat group with a group of our friends here in Ottawa. And last week, I won't name her because it's her own personal situation, but one of our friends, and Carrie will probably remember from the chat, had said that basically her family is tapped out. They've been paying for therapy for years now. Their child was close to the top of the wait list when everything went down back in 2018. So they are expecting or hoping that they'll be amongst this first 8,000. And that's what they're waiting for. So in the meantime, capacity issues at therapy centers are really kind of sketchy. There's not a lot of room, right? So they are breaking themselves financially, holding on to a few short hours a week, paying out of pocket themselves just to keep their child in a spot there, so that hopefully they'll get the magic invitation into core services and they'll be able to just transition into more hours, right? But the fear here is you're going out with all these invitations, there's no spots in therapy centers, and people will get this money and then have nowhere to go, right? So that's yet another thing, right? And the stress of it all on families is enormous, right? And you know, there's just, we could rant on this all day.
We honestly could. We honestly could.
We want to rant a little bit.
We do want.
But I think what we really want to do.
Sorry, go ahead, Kate. What we really want to do.
I think what we really want to do is encourage everyone to get involved. We basically have these 2 months, less than 2 months now, to try and affect some kind of change. And you know what? We have had a hell of a few weeks, haven't we? Like we are really getting our message out there, and I think we can only continue that and make it even bigger. And so Carrie and I are going to not only talk about the OAP problems today, but talk about other ways to get involved, and talk about things that are coming up, and hopefully encourage everybody to do all the things so that we can stand strong together.
All the things. I was mentioning earlier, Kate, well, first of all, for anyone who's just joining us now, Kate and I are trying a new platform today. So there's a little bit of a lag between us that we're trying to navigate here. Again, we're munching on scones because this is skits and scones, and it's sort of a tradition that Kate and I sort of hash things out to our community and let you know what's going on, sort of like a little news update while we feast on pastry. So, oh gosh, you know what, Kate, like, you're so right. Like, the one image that I have, like, when you say there's just like these layers, it's an onion. It really is. And like, honestly, if we were to start to like peel back the layers of everything that is wrong with what is going on right now, we would be here all day. And anyone who knows me well knows that I could certainly talk for the entire day about this. So I'm going to try to stay on track. I'm going to try to stay on track. There's a lot. Oh gosh, where do we even start? Like, Kate, like, you're talking about capacity. Like, my gosh, see, we really have a problem here. And what we really want people to understand is certainly a really big picture. I know that, you know, a lot of families right now are still spending their interim one-time funding, which was sort of like age-based, just tossed out to families because there was no program to funnel funding into. So when Ford doubled the budget, like, there was, you know, twice the amount of money, no program to spend it on. So families got these small chunks of funding. What I really want to underscore here, Kate, is that, you know, when we've been throwing around the number like 50,000, 50K is not okay. And I know for a fact there are families who hear that number and they think, oh, that's not me. I have interim one-time funding. And what we really, really need people to understand is that we are talking about you. Kate and I have children that were invited into a service plan under the Liberal government previously. Our kids have continuous needs-based individualized service. Eventually, our children will transition into core services within the next year at some point. But what we need everyone to understand is that you absolutely have reason to be upset about this. You were not offered a service plan. And I know that this is shocking to hear. Traditionally, to wait even 2 years for service, a service plan in Ontario is like, 2-year wait is amazing. We know families who have been waiting upwards to 6 years, if not longer, for a service plan. And a service plan is individualized, customized, clinically informed therapy that continues from the time your child enters that service contract until they turn 18. What the interim one-time funding is a one-off payment, which on premise is discriminatory, but it's gonna stop. There will be two, the first one and the second one, and then you are out to lunch. Then we are waiting for 50,000 children to enter a service program. That is not going to take a year. That's not going to take 2 years. That's going to take like you're looking at 4 or 5 years wait time at the rate that that this is moving, which is why we are
and just to
trying to.
interject here,
Yeah,
Carrie.
go ahead. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say that you're talking about the 𝐒𝐿𝐓. Any child that was diagnosed or applied to the OAP after April 1st of last year, 2021, they're not even getting those.
They're not even getting that.
So they really are on a wait list, and their wait is going to be, if we continue down this road, I mean, it's not outrageous to say 6 to 8 years if things were to continue moving at this rate. So I mean, that's enormous.
Enormous. Yeah. Like this, and this, like we're not saying these things to to upset anyone. Like I know that when my kids were first introduced to a wait list, you think like, you know, your family is going through this period where, you know, your child has been diagnosed with autism. This means a great deal of change for your family. It's overwhelming. There's a lot of things to navigate. It can be incredibly scary. And when, you know, we live in Canada, you would think, you know, my child needs help. In however that manifests itself, your child needs help. You would anticipate that you can get that help within a timely fashion, especially when we talk about the importance of early interventions and early supports. So when a family learns that, you know, you're going to be waiting for that support, that's shocking. And again, what we're trying to drive home here is that over the past 4 years, only 650 children have entered a program, and that's just in the past year. This government, like, again, pooped the bed on this. They created a bottleneck of bottlenecks on this. They have created a forced wait time of years. If they continue at this rate, like, it's like, even if they do the math, guys. Like, we have 53,000 today. Like, every month we get numbers released from the ministry. They share those numbers. These are their numbers. They're not our numbers. They share these numbers on the 15th of every month. We see thousands of additional children, hundreds and sometimes thousands each month, added to this wait list. I lost Kate. Okay, I'm going to keep talking here. I'm going to see if I can get her back. Oh, Kate, I lost you. Okay, well, it's here. Hopefully she'll ask to come back in. Sorry, I'm distracted. I jumped my track there for a second. What we're really, really trying to drive home here is that, like, if they continue at this rate, even 8,000 children a month, it's going to take a very, very long time to oh, here, Kate, I can see that you're watching. I'm going to send you a request. I'm adding Kate back in. It's going to take a really, really long time to reach the front of that wait list. And further to that, like, sorry, Kate, you're back. I'm glad you're back.
I think it was because my phone rang. So.
Oh, I see. Oh, okay. Find Kate. Yeah. Hashtag find Kate. So in any case, what we're desperately trying to underscore, and what the admins and the board and all the people that are heavily involved with the OAC are trying to drive home on the Facebook page and wherever, is that this is everyone's fight. If you have 𝐒𝐿𝐓, you are not home free. That money will end, and there is no plan for your child. We need your voices with our voices. So, to segue into what we're doing, because Kate mentioned there are a lot of things that the Political Action Committee has been doing. And we have been trying desperately to find ways to include you guys, because we know that it's A, hard to understand what's going on. B, it's hard to find the time to do anything about it. Organizing your thoughts around that can be incredibly difficult. And, you know, just having the energy, because it's so easy to feel defeated. So the message we have is, A, you're not alone. There are a lot of us here, and a lot of us here are angry, and we are willing to help you direct your anger. So some of the things that we've been doing to try to facilitate this process for everyone is, first of all, we'll talk about the Twitter storm. Kate, you mind talking about the Twitter storm? It's Friday, which means tonight is Twitter storm night. So what we've been doing, you've probably been seeing me posting like mad on the main page, looking for people to join our team. Kate, do you want to tell us what a Twitter storm is and why it's important?
Absolutely, yeah. So we, as Carrie said, we have, gosh, for at least a month or so now, we have every Friday night at 9. We all get on Twitter between 9 and 10, although some people might pop in and do a couple tweets and leave. You don't have to stay for the full hour. But basically, for those of you unfamiliar with Twitter, it is a social media platform. It's different from Facebook in that you just leave these sort of short messages or put photos or videos or links to websites or different things. You're only allowed a certain amount of letters, and it's usually just sort of a characters. It's just a sort of short message, and we can add all of our hashtags, and we have been successful, very successful actually, especially in the last 2 weeks, getting our hashtag 50K is not okay to be what they call trending. And to be honest, I don't know.
Oh, Kate, I just lost your audio. I lost your audio.
No.
Oh, are we?
Okay.
Are we back?
I'm back. Okay.
Okay. I can talk about the Twitter storm if you need
Okay.
to.
So, yeah, no, I can keep going.
Okay.
Yeah, no, basically it just gives us a chance to get our message out and get those hashtags rolling. Basically, trending basically means that there's, the gods of the universe, the gods of Twitter are seeing that certain hashtags are being sent in various ways, either through posts themselves, they're being retweeted by other people, people are commenting using those hashtags, and they're seeing an abundance of them. And we have been trending in specific cities. We have been trending under the subject of politics. We have been trending in the province of Ontario, and we've even been trending in Canada, which I think is pretty amazing. Yeah, oh gosh, sorry. I am. You know what, Carrie? I've got something I need to just deal with quickly. So I'm going to log off.
Go off.
And I will join you back. And it'll just take me 2 minutes, okay?
Yeah. All good.
This is why my phone keeps ringing. So
life happens.
Okay, I'll be back in a minute. How do I get out of here?
Go deal with it. So, okay. So Kate's hopefully going to jump off here. Kate, there we go. Okay. Sorry, we're navigating a new system to do this. Okay, so the Twitter storm. Kate was mentioning the goal of the Twitter storms is to get trending. Trending essentially means that we have as many people talking about a hashtag or using a hashtag as many times as possible within a certain period of time. It's not enough to just say we're going to use the hashtag when we're on Twitter. It needs to be within a designated time and people talking about it at the same time, which is why we schedule an evening, which is a weekly occurrence, standing date with the OAC, Friday night at 9 o'clock. We hit Twitter. Now, a few weeks ago, what this was I don't know, a couple dozen of us who are always into the Twitter storms would jump on and essentially tweet, let our fury go in 260 characters, adding our hashtag 50K is not okay as quickly as possible so we could tweet as much as possible, retweet as much as possible so that we could trend. So again, 2 weeks ago, there was a couple dozen of us, and oftentimes there would be enough activity to get trending, which was always really, really exciting. When something is trending, we see it on the main page, and the value of this is that, well, like, Twitter sees this. People on Twitter are people with something to say. So we see, politicians are seeing this, the opposition is seeing this, media outlets are seeing this, other advocacy groups, unions, whatnot. Oh, there's Kate. I think she's asking to come back. I will let her come back. All these different groups are seeing that there are a lot of people talking about this, so that this is important. Welcome back, Kate. So I'm just talking about the importance of trending and what that means. So again, 2 weeks ago, you know, our core crew were doing this, and we were thinking, man, wouldn't it be amazing if we could get some amplification of what we were saying? We are sort of weaving a narrative so that if anyone were to be like, oh, what's this 50K is not okay business? If they were to click on that hashtag, they would see hundreds of messages and tweets from parents who are upset with Ford, and that this is a big stinking deal. So the more people talking about it, the better. The longer it trends for, or the quicker it hits the trending list, the better. So we have been recruiting people to come and simply push a button. The OAC now has a Twitter team. We have a private and very exclusive group that you need a link to get into, of our dedicated tweeters. And let me tell you, Kate, as someone who has been sort of committed to advocacy for years now, it is so encouraging. It is heartwarming. It feels like I'm doing my job. It's rewarding to see other people sort of stand up and say, I want to help you. I want to be part of a team. And like, I mean, to get sappy, like this life, especially now, especially like after the past 2 years, can feel very isolating. And the OAC wants to help to give you a voice. So this is a very simple way to join a team, to feel like, you know, you're contributing in a meaningful way. And it is meaningful. We can't stress that enough. What I want to say, guys, is that we had one Twitter storm since the advent of our Twitter team. We have about 120 people on that team now who, for whatever they could give last Friday night, we were trending within 10 minutes. And that's simply people going on, and we have content creators. Kate does a lot of good tweeting. I like to think I do some good tweeting. Tony's there, Alina's there, all of our big heavy hitters are there. Ashley's there. I'm looking at the comments here to see who's watching. And these are people who, you know, you follow them on Twitter and they've got big things to say. And all you need to do is hit the retweet button, and that multiplies. And it adds layers, it adds, like, it indicates that it's a popular topic. So we needed people to help boost. I know it's hard to come up with, you know, things to say, or not to know what to say. It can be a big leap. You don't even need to do that. This is so simple. It's like playing a game. It's just hitting a button on your phone for 5 minutes, for an hour, and you do it with a team. You know that there are people there with you doing the same thing at the same time, and that gives you a feeling of like it's what do I say? What was the word that Lily used? Exhilarating. It's exhilarating. It makes everything feel a little less hopeless, and the difference, Kate, that made last week, trending within 10 minutes, and then you know what happened, guys? We stayed trending over the weekend. We were trending without trying, and that's amazing. So tonight we will be doing this at 9 p.m. If you are interested in joining the Twitter team and helping us out to reach that goal of trending and to push our message out further, just drop a comment here and we'll hook you up. Okay, yeah. So Kate, what else are we doing? We got Twitter.
No, just to touch on the Twitter thing, like it is so amazing. Like I'm on Twitter all week long. I find like I go crazy with Twitter on Friday nights, but throughout the week I'll do the odd tweet or whatever. And I'm noticing, though, just looking through my news feed, that I'm seeing now, since we've really started these Twitter storms, I'm seeing non-autism community, you know, people who aren't really related to, they don't have children on the spectrum, they aren't autistic themselves, and I'm seeing them commenting or mentioning 50K is not okay. And I'm seeing them, you know, commenting, you know, if Doug Ford posts, you know, he's in campaign mode, he always is, so he'll post something glorious about what he's doing to the, you know, the new highway that he's building for whatever. People who are not related to our community are commenting, going, yeah, but what about the 50,000 children with autism who still are waiting? What are you doing about that? So like it is working. It's you know, we got to keep on it, and it absolutely is an election issue, and we're going to keep on it and make sure that it stays an election issue. So yeah,
Absolutely.
in terms of other things we're doing, well, we had the Fill the Gallery event on Monday. That was interesting.
Talk about that, Kate. What was that like? What was that like?
Yeah. So, well, for the period of time that I was in there, no, it wasn't my first time in the gallery. I will say.
Set it up, Kate. Set it up. On Monday, we had a handful. Like, how many of us were there? I don't know, a couple dozen.
You know what? I can say this, there wasn't as many as we had wanted. A number of people who were supposed to come had to cancel at the last minute, but we still had a crowd of us. And actually, there was a crowd of people that weren't even with us, but they were kind of sitting amongst us. And I think they were kind of cheering us on in the end. But we were on the one half. So just to set this up even further, often when we have some regulars that, you know, back pre-COVID, were there almost every day. Whether there was autism questions or not, they would just show up and have their faces in the gallery every day. And I mean, those people are heroes, right? They would get at the beginning of question period, I don't know if this part is seen on TV or not, but they have what's called member statements. And usually an MPP can say, I'd like to welcome so-and-so who's visiting us today. And often if it's one of our people, they'll be like, I'd like to welcome Carrie Monahan from the Ontario Autism Coalition who's joining us today. Welcome, Carrie. You know, clap, clap, clap. Of course, the Fort government side is not clapping about us being there. But pre-COVID, we had this group of people that would go every day, and they were wonderful. And because they were such regulars, they often got the really good seats, what they call the member gallery. And those are on the floor, like, you can't really see them on TV. They're down on one end.
On one end, yeah.
They have not reopened those yet, and it's probably a good thing because anyone who sat there, I've sat there a few times, there's these stairs, and you're literally, like, you can't even breathe. It's just obnoxious. So, but they do have the upper galleries, and those are what they call public galleries. Anyone can go. Any day they have question period, provided there's room. Now that they've reopened them, you can just show up at Queen's Park. You have to go through security and sign in, and they'll ask for your ID. But so that's what we all did on Monday. And there's the two sides. So the one side, I didn't realize there was a difference, but they call the government side, I guess, which is where we were sitting. So you can now get a good view because you're facing them. I had never sat on that side before. So we were facing down, and when I say down, oh my gosh, is it steep? It is like, have you been up there, Carrie, before?
Yeah, it's like
is like, it's a
wall of like stadium seating almost.
If you have issues with heights or whatever, it's a little bit, we were all, I know even Tony, I was sitting next to Tony, and he was like, this is a little bit, you know, when you're walking and trying to get into your seat, it's a little bit scary. Once you're seated, it's fine.
Kate, I just want to mention, I'm going to interrupt very briefly. Faith is here in the comments, and Faith is one of the ones who was there, like, relentless, holding that government accountable, face in the seats every week. So thank you, Faith, for representing so consistently.
Yeah.
So sorry, Kate. Big steep seats in the top.
Yeah, so we were all in the top, and just you know, I don't want to go on too long about this, but it was great. We'd obviously organized with both the Liberals and the NDP that we were coming. The Liberals did a press conference to introduce their platform for the autism file. So that was just prior to question period. And then question period started, and because we were all there, both the Liberals and the NDP asked questions about the autism file. I think a lot of you probably watched this on TV. You know, we expected that it was going to be the same talking points, and that's exactly what it was. It felt like maybe the government side was rallying around Minister Fullerton a little bit more because they knew we were there. It was really hard to not get just so caught up in rage because it was, I don't know if you could see this on TV as well, but the clapping, anytime she would give off these facts, what she calls facts, that we know are not true, or basically they're misleading facts. They would just be clapping like they're doing the most amazing things. And I will say Lisa McLeod, I'm sure you couldn't see this on TV, but you would think that woman would have enough sense to just be kind of like, okay, we're talking about autism, I'm going to stay out of this, right? She was just, anytime Marilee Fullerton would have to answer one of these autism questions, she was right there going, yes, yes, we have, you know. It's just, it was just so hard to contain yourself. And I've been there before, and this was the first time I have not contained myself. Tony was the first person who just couldn't take it anymore. He had said to me at one point, I think it was after the second question, I was sitting beside him, and he just said, that's it, I'm done, I can't do this anymore. And I was just like, oh boy. You know, and then sure enough, next question, he basically shouted out, and he yelled out, he started off with, you gotta love Tony, 50K is not okay. And of course we all knew what would happen if we did shout out. You were not allowed to even whisper to the person next to you. So let me just paint that picture for anyone who's never been there before. It's you're up there in the gallery, there's security guards, they were literally stationed beside us. If you so much as lean in and ask the person next to you if they have a tissue, they're going to be tapping you on the shoulder. No talking, no talking. You're not allowed to clap. You're not even allowed to nod your head in agreement. That's how strict they are in there. So even if there's something good that you agree with, you're not even allowed to really indicate that by any means. So, you know, we were all fully aware that if any of us were to say anything out loud, that was it. We were going to be kicked out. And obviously Tony and myself and Ashley, basically took the chance. We knew that was going to happen, but we were just so, it's really hard to not get very upset. So Tony was the first to go. He yelled, 50K is not okay. To be honest, I can't even remember what all else he yelled after that, because he was beside me. And like I said, it's so steep. He tried to go out the other way, but the security guard was trying to come in from my side to get to him, but he was already leaving that way. And let me just also say, the security guards, as strict as they are, they were lovely. They're doing their jobs. That's what they're supposed to do. I think they all said to us, as soon as they brought us out into the hallway, like, you know, first of all, are you okay? But then sort of like, you know, good for you. We just have to do our job. Sorry about that, but you're standing up for your children. We get it. They were lovely. They were really nice. So Tony went first, and then there was a supplemental question right after, and I went next. And it's a bit of a blur. I think the first thing I did was just call them liars. And, you know, it's one of those things, you know, you're going to get kicked out and you don't want it to be that big of a scene. So it's like you're standing up and yelling as you're like, yeah, I know, I'm going to the door.
You bleeped for just a second,
Okay,
but really, you were good.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, I you know, and I know because people have shown me clips of the TV broadcast that at least for my part, they bleeped out most of what I said, so you couldn't really hear what I was saying. But there was calling them liars. There was, I know I really touched on the, like, if your program is so great, why are we here? Why? And this is what bothers me. It bothers me so much that Fullerton is standing up almost daily now. They're asking autism questions in question period. And every day she stands up with those same talking points. They're all lies or misleading information. And they're completely avoiding or not pretending that they're not noticing that parents are screaming from the rooftops about this. Here we are all up in the balcony with angry looks on our faces, and they have the audacity to look us in the eye and say, we're creating a world-leading program. No, you're creating a world-leading wait list. That's what you're doing.
That's really,
yeah. So.
Kate, I feel it coming on. I can, like,
yeah. So just to end off with that. So that'll probably be the only time I'll ever be able to do that. And I will also say that was way out of my comfort zone. I still, looking back, can't believe that I did that. When we were going there that day, I thought that might be a possibility that I might do something like that. And then, but I said to my husband when I left to go to Toronto, I'm like, I don't think I can do that. That's not me. I can't do that. But I did, and I'm glad I did. You really only get one chance to do something like that. They give you a letter. We all got our little letters, and it basically says, you know, you're only kicked out for the day, and we could come back the very next day if we wanted. But it does say that if you were to do something along those lines again, you could be arrested. So that was maybe as far into the civil disobedience category as I might feel comfortable doing, but at least I feel like we were heard, and you know, I'm not encouraging people to go do it again. It's certainly not what you're supposed to do. I think going there and just being a presence and standing and sitting there and making them face you while they say these lies is actually good enough. So, and by no means am I telling people to go to Queen's Park and yell and scream and cause a disturbance. But it would be great if we could get people there to just stand there. It's harder. They were she was shaky. The rest of them might not have been, but I think we've really got her feeling the heat right now. And just to move into something else we're doing, it was basically Rhonda, who I know has been kind of watching at times here. Rhonda basically at the end of that day messaged me and she said, we have to have a protest at Fullerton's this weekend. And I was like, okay. We've been waiting to kind of get that part started here in Ottawa. We've obviously got Fullerton. We've got Lisa McLeod here. We've got Jeremy Roberts here. All these people who've been involved in the autism file, and they all deserve some attention and some heat. And so we've been kind of waiting to get started. COVID doesn't make it easier to organize. But with 2 months to go on the election, we're going to be doing this, and it's starting this Sunday. So anyone in Ottawa or anyone outside of Ottawa, if you want to come in,
to Ottawa,
1:30 in the afternoon on Sunday. We will be not right in front of Minister Fullerton's office. She has an office that's kind of in an industrial park. Nobody, especially on a weekend, nobody would be driving by to see us there. So we are going to be at the corner of the street that leads to her office, where there's a major intersection, and it is a high traffic area. So that is the corner of Eagleson Drive, which is an exit off of the 417, and then her side street, which is Michael Copeland Drive, Michael Copeland Boulevard Drive, something like that. So we will be walking the corners there. Please come join us, bring friends, neighbors, whatever. We're going to try and make it safe. COVID is raging, of course. We will encourage everybody to wear masks, even though we're outside. Of course, nobody has to, but the majority of us likely will be. And yeah, bring signs if you have them. If you don't have them, just stand there with us. It's the biggest thing is having people there. So, and hopefully getting some media attention on it. Right. And in fact, the reason why I just had to leave our call a few minutes ago, Carrie, was because the person who was trying to get a hold of me was CTV. And they're going to be interviewing me this afternoon, and it'll be on the news tonight. And one of the things we'll be talking about is the protest at Fullerton's on Sunday. Good. So, yes. So that'll be good, and hopefully they'll follow through and maybe send somebody on Sunday. I hope. Fingers crossed. Right. We just need to keep getting this message out there, right? So.
Yeah, and that's what we're trying to do. I'm glad that you talked about about your experience in question period there, Kate, which was last Monday. Wait a minute, what day is it today? Today's Friday. So this was just Monday. Geez, it feels like an eternity ago already. So that was on Monday. And that, I mean, we've had a lot of momentum lately, and this really served as an important part of that momentum. I know that in Toronto, like Global News picked up the story of parents yelling out in question period, which is amazing. We want that attention, right? And Kate was mentioning like Fullerton, like, you know, shaking in like as she's, you know, talking and reading off these facts. I just want to briefly touch on what is very clear, that the PC comms team, so their communications people, are directing to sort of counter our 50K is not okay. So we're talking about 50,000 children on a wait list. We've put out imagery of like the Sky Dome. It's on the side of tractor trailer trucks going back and forth on highways. Like we've had the teachers union, the Catholic Teachers Union Federation. I'm not quite sure their entire name, but the Catholic teachers in Ontario, they put out some YouTube video messaging using the 50K is not okay reference. So like it's a message that we need to continue to push out. So what the PCs have done is they're sort of countering this by having Mary Lee Fullerton stand in question period and use like, okay, I'm going to let the facts speak for themselves. That's fine. What she's saying isn't wrong. It's just not right either. So the facts that they're using are not facts that they should be proud of. They should not be proud of saying we gave 40,000 children or 34,000 children Band-Aids. We should not be proud of giving 34,000 children money that will be taken away after a year or two. We should not be proud of forcing families onto a 5-year-long wait list. And even talking about, you know, entry to school programming or caregiver mediated programming. I know that we have providers in our community here at the OAC who are providing these services, and it's a good thing to add to the mix of the OAP, but it can't be, it's not a leg to stand on is what we're trying to communicate. These programs, like the caregiver mediated programs and the entry to school program, this is for small children. And we're looking at a situation right now where we have kids who basically became not small kids anymore while on a wait list. That these are children that aged out of like a funding bracket while on a wait list. So to say, you know, like this is going to be available for children moving forward, like that's great for small children, but like it can't be the center of the program. The center of the program is core services. That can't come last. And then these programs, entry to school, caregiver mediated, are going to be offered to children who maybe spent a year on the wait list, who maybe are just registering for the first time. And again, not that that's a bad thing. This is what we want, but we're also basically looking at a generation of kids who got screwed. Like, and I can't, like, screwed. And that, I think, is what bothers me the most, is that they can say they're building this program, but the program that they're building, assuming it works, assuming they're able to manage the wait list, is going to completely, like, just push all of these children who have been waiting in the interim aside. It doesn't help them. It doesn't help them at all. There was no plan to deal with those kids. And when I say deal with, I don't even like to say deal with, like, give these kids the support they need, and like don't make them wait for that support. And like the idea of like aging out of a funding bracket while sitting on a wait list, you're being penalized for waiting for this government to get off their asses. I'm sorry. I'm really upset. I'm sorry. Anyway, all to say, sorry.
No apologies, my friend. You are saying everything that is true, and that's the thing. I mean, you are right. It is like the idea that you're going to make kids wait 5, 6, 7 years and then tell them, oh, because you're now over 10, you're only eligible for this little amount of money. Well, what about the fact that they were diagnosed when they were 3? I mean, this is ridiculous. This is absolutely ridiculous. I mean, there's many things, but they absolutely, it should be the age they were when they entered the wait list is the therapy. If they're going to keep these age restrictions, then, I mean, just ridiculous.
Like, Kate, again, I'm looking at the time and I'm like, we can't do this all morning. We can't do it all morning. I've got a call with the school in half an hour.
But we could.
We've got momming to do and stuff, but what I want, like what I'm really, what I'm really trying to drive home here, I think, is that, like everybody needs to be angry about this. Everybody needs to be angry about this, and what we're going for here is lowest hanging fruit. Okay, so when we talk about 50K is not okay, first of all, we have the comms team at the PCs. They're countering this like these are the facts. We are disproving those facts. We are trying to take that information and we're going to fire it right back at them. We're comparing apples to oranges here. You're talking about Band-Aids. We're talking about wraparound supports over the entire duration of childhood that's going to support a family, comprehensive programming that doesn't forget anyone. And that's not what they're delivering. This is what we're asking for. What they're offering is not a response to what our argument is. So apples to oranges, and what they're saying might look good on paper. What they're saying might sound good to someone who doesn't understand the intricacies of the Ontario Autism Program. And we know it's complex. So we are trying to fire back by sort of debunking, so to speak, the things that Mary Lee is saying. You can read off these facts. This is nothing to be proud of. And again, moving forward, as Kate mentioned, there are a lot of things that are wrong with the new program. And Kate, I think one day, the next 𝐒𝐿𝐻𝐒 and scones, maybe we should hash out what the things are wrong with that. But right now, the big thing is that we need to start seeing kids come off the wait list and get into service. We saw a letter reach home to some people who were lucky enough to get it in their email from the minister saying that they are going to be launching imminently. This is not surprising to us in the least. We knew years ago that they would coincide their big showy launch and children coming off the wait list into core services in time for the election so they can look like freaking heroes. We need to be saying something about this. So our big thing right now is getting kids off the wait list and finally get this damn program moving, because it's absolutely unacceptable. Once we get to that point, once we know who our next government is, then we can start dealing with the things that are wrong with core services. But first we need funding flowing to families. So we've got protests coming up. You can get involved by joining the Twitter storm tonight. Please comment in the section here or find my posts to figure out how to get onto the Twitter team. We need your help. And what else do we have, Kate? Oh, the letter writing or the emails.
Yes, you talk about that. You know more about that.
Okay, I can talk about that.
Yeah.
Another way that we've been really trying to it's another way to get our message out. If we do not tell government plainly and clearly that we are unhappy with what they were doing, they will take that as consent. They will take or approval rather. We don't say anything, they're going to think we're fine with it. So another avenue that we have been using to push our message out is directly to the policymakers themselves. And this goes beyond just the minister and your MPPs. Particularly if your MPPs are conservative. But we're talking about writing emails, expressing displeasure, expressing disappointment, dissatisfaction, all the dis words with the current state of the Ontario Autism Program. We are asking families to write emails. I know that is hard. They don't have to be pretty. They just have to convey a message. We have provided the email addresses for the minister, the minister's assistant, the poor guy, his name's Mason. We have provided Sarah Hardy, who is the head of the creation, they create the policy for the Ontario Autism Program. Jennifer Morris, who is the Assistant Deputy Minister. and all the folks who are involved. This is as high as you can go, guys. We have those email addresses there. We have been inviting families and encouraging families, and we've been keeping track because we ask people to CC Tony Stravato at the Ontario Autism Coalition so that we can hold the government accountable, so that when we have our meetings and they say to us, oh, we haven't heard these things, we can say, well, we know that you have, because we know that you're sending these emails, or that you're receiving these emails from our membership and, you know, people connected to our membership, grandparents, aunts, uncles, neighbors, friends, whatever. We need those emails to be sent. We need to communicate what our wants are. Otherwise, they will put our wants in our mouth. They will say they ask for needs-based therapy. We are creating a world-class program for them. So the next message is that you need to hurry the heck up. It needs to be now. It needs to deal with this. Now, again, earlier we mentioned we're trying to make this more accessible for families who want to get involved or who want to do something but maybe don't have the time, the energy, or the bandwidth to do this. We have created templates. We'll probably create a few more. We have some messaging that I think we could stand to be tweaked even just after the past week as these facts start hitting, you know, the media and Queen's Park and elsewhere. But if you find, we have it pinned up in the feature section on the main page, find the email templates, the post about the emails, go into the comments. We have text. They're my words. I gift them to you. Do what you want with them, tweak them, make it yours, add a story about your child. There are 3 different ones there. You can copy and paste. If that's all you want to do, just copy, paste, send to the emails we've provided. And this is an effective way to advocate. It will not help your family get funding tomorrow, but it'll add your voice to the chorus of voices that are screaming out that they need to do better. So you can send an email, Twitter storm, email, protests in Ottawa, organize a protest where you are. Like things, of course, COVID is still.
Oh, another thing I was going to add too.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, and I'll on the same vein as the letter writing, start to talk and message with your family and friends. It is very powerful when our parents, so your child's grandparents, advocate on your child's behalf. The PC government does not like hearing from senior citizens that their grandkids are not being supported. That the older generation is a high percentage of their base votes.
Yeah.
So hearing from the older generation that they're losing votes because of this or any other number of things is very powerful. So definitely get your family involved. Just even talk about it with your neighbors and your friends, and just let everybody know what's happening here, right? And like I said it before, we're 53,000 on the wait list. That's 53,000 parents. That's 53,000 grandparents, neighbors, supporters, professionals, right? We're a lot more than 53,000 if you add up the villages that are behind us.
Our village.
So so just keep talking about it, and like Carrie said, it's go to the protests. If there is no protest in your area, think about having one. Do you have a PC member, one of the Ford MPPs is your MPP? Maybe they need a visit. Maybe they need either a protest in front of their office or even just a visit from you, a meeting, There are any number of things you can do. We just need to be loud. We need to be so loud right now for the next 2 months.
That's what we need. So Kate, I'm looking at the time. It's 11:11, which is a lucky time. Make a wish.
Oh boy. Yeah, you've got to
make a wish at 11:11. I think maybe we should wrap it up for today. because people are, well, we
Yes.
want people to be able to rewatch this, and we don't want it to be like a mini series. So get involved.
Yes. But we
And
will be
thank
back, right? Now that
Oh, we will be
we
back.
know that we need to be
I'm
busy
thinking,
and we're going
Kate,
to keep
like,
rallying up.
we want to be in your faces. We want to help you. Like, this is why we're doing this. Like, I mean, the OAC is a bunch of volunteers, right? Like, we want to help you do this. So get involved. Watch for the posts that are on the main page. Join us on Twitter tonight, and yeah, we've got more big things coming, I think. So thank you. My scone was delicious.
Yes, many big things coming.
My scone was delicious.
Yeah, mine is all gone now too.
And okay, so
We'll be back
we will
probably
see you guys
next week for more scones.
Yeah, more scones next week. Okay, Kate. Cool. More scones next week.
Yeah.
They're on me. My
Absolutely.
treat next week. Okay. Goodbye, everyone. Thanks for listening.
All right.
We'll see you later. Thanks, Kate.
Bye.
Woo-hoo.
Thank you.
Okay, now how do we end this? And I need to end it now. Finish. See you later, everyone. Thanks for